And so for that, I use a program called Tmux. And on -S as new session, cake, I'm just giving it a name. And why I use Tmux for this is because I jump between the windows fast enough, and in order for it, I jump between the windows frequently, and I want certain key combinations that do that for me. And I also have the ability to, so let me split this again. So now I have one on top and one on the bottom, right? And will do a lot of, let me run this code and see what it does, right? So IRB gives me a Ruby prompt. I can type Ruby code like, right? I can just string call a method. But you know, a lot of times I'll have more code than that I want to run. So because I'm in Tmux and I get Vim going here, if I do class foo, let's do. So, you know, I could type that all out here, but it gets confusing because, like, you know, now I have to kind of look at that number to realize that I'm inside of the class, not out and about. So, let's see, let me end that. Let me restart that again. So because I'm in Tmux, what I can do is say, highlight that, and I have a key combination. I think I haven't done it for a while. Control CC. So it asks me for a name, which is default. Target pane is 1.2. I know that. And that sends it to that bottom buffer for me. Right? So I can have a bunch of my program up here, highlight it, and then send it to the eval and see what it's going to do. Right? It's kind of like if you were in Chrome. Do you guys use Chrome development tools?
Yeah.
Right? So like, I didn't want view source. Right? So it'd be like if I was in here and I could just highlight this chunk of JavaScript code and say eval that on the page right now. Same basic concept. And then I also, if I have a, you know, like I might have a test. If I have an automated test written somewhere, I can hit R and it will actually run that as a separate program down here and let me see the output. So I have workflows built up around Vim and Tmux, and that's why. So that's just kind of some backstory. Let's see. Okay, so when I do Rails, this. I will have, usually up here, I have Vim, my text editor. Over here, I start a Rails server. And then here, go to my site. So, can't connect to MySQL, it's not running. Still not running. There we go. So I log in, make sure that works. And then I have, so like, I don't need a mouse to make all these different splits and stuff, and that's kind of, I don't like mousing. I always have a to-do in the root of the project, so I keep track of what I need to do. So this is Java, that's a JavaScript bug. Oh, let's do this. Cash check or credit card option for payment method. Okay? So when she goes to her invoices. She wants to enter how much they paid and whether or not she got a tip. And she also wants to know, did they pay with cash, check, or credit card?
Okay.
Okay? So, that's pretty easy to do. If what this other window's for, I'm going to make this big for a minute. It's for me to run a console in. And just look at my... So, nice thing about a Rails app is it's continually consistent from place to place, because Rails will make you fight to not be consistent with their idioms. Good and bad. If you know better than they do, it's a pain in the butt. But when you inherit someone else's code, it's nice because you can make a lot of assumptions. So things that map to database tables will be under models. So I can look in models and get a pretty good idea of the main entities and data structures that are in this thing, right? And so she's got order item. And if I want to look and see, like, well, what does an order item have for columns, right? Or an order. I need to do this. So it connects to the database. Just say order. And so I can kind of look at this. And I can see I've got an ID that's an int, a name, a string, when it's due. Put notes, the user ID, who it belongs to, the amount that she's going to charge for it. And then down here I've got paid and tip. Right? So that's where those two fields are getting pulled from.
So how are you connecting to your database? Like, how does that, what's the magic behind that?
Okay.
So,
That's a good question.
In Rails,
okay.
every model inherits from this active record base. Okay, by inherit it means it gets all of its behavior.
Okay.
Right? And active record base knows that active record base knows how to connect to a database. Okay, and it knows that in Rails, in my config folder, there will be a database.yaml file. And in this file, there will be different settings for a database depending on the environment that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rails separates environments because it has different runtime characteristics. Because if I change a file and save it, I want it to get reloaded when I'm developing, but I wouldn't want that in production because that's expensive.
Right.
So, active record base, through some other, it's a massive set of objects, but active record base will look in this file and say, I'm in the development environment, so my adapter is MySQL2, database name is this, username is this, password is this, there's my max pool, right? And encoding. So it'll take all these settings, build a string, and then connects to the database and does it all.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't have to do it, which is why I like Rails, because I don't have to deal with this stuff. And I can say, how many orders are there? 35. There's a user object, right? And I think user.last is Missy. So if I say order.where, I think I might be able to do this. So I can say order.where the user is whoever the last user is, which is Missy, and count those, and then it actually makes this with a where clause on it, right? It figures out that, I need to filter by user ID, and so, simple queries are real simple. Hard queries still get complex, but simple things are simple. So, for me to do this, then for me to track the payment method, right, I need to add a new column to this table, right? Because I've got paid and tip, and then Google Calendar. So I want a payment method column on here, okay? Now, Rails very recently has the capability to let me have a column that is stored as a number, a number with meaning, right? So there's an enum. JavaScript doesn't really have a good equivalent, but that's kind of what it means. It's like a small storage, but attach some meaning onto it. And because I use those, I've also got a few other facilities. It's like it constrains my range of valid numbers to only the ones I've defined, right? Like valid numbers 1 through whatever. But I'm going to define enums that say 1 is credit card, 2 is check, and 3 is cash.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see. I'll stop my console. I want you to go away, Doc. And I want to do Rails manages database changes with things called migrations. A migration is just a change. If I want to make a change to the database, I code it up so that I can change it or unchange it
Okay.
and move back and forth. So G for generate, migration, add, payment method. I'm telling you, I'm giving the migration a name, and you pick a name that's descriptive so that when you look at the file, you kind of know what it's for.
Okay.
Payment method. And if I give it a hint, it will do some of the work for me. So because I named it add anything underscore orders, it will figure out that I'm actually changing the orders table. And because I told it this payment method, you can't see me when I'm pointing at the screen, because I told it payment method integer, it will decide that I want to add a column called payment method of type integer. So
Nice.
Okay, cool.
I'm a lazy person. So back in Vim, there's a database folder. If I expand that and look at migrate, refresh it. So there's my new file. Open that up. And so change is reversible, so it knows whatever it knows. It can figure out a lot of stuff how to basically reverse a change. So it knows if add column orders payment method. It knows that if I go down, it should remove column payment method. So this will change my database for me, and you can do that then with great. Alright, so if I go back into my console, I look at the order class, payment method, integer. So new column in database.
Cool.
Now, okay, I need to go to the order model. So you can see I have an enum here that I've already created that was called fulfillment method. So she can either deliver it, you can pick it up, or we don't know yet. She wanted a specific one for unknown. So I need a new one. Payment method. I want to double check what she said she wanted for options. Cash, check, or credit card. All right. So that adds payment method. And now, if you look at a URL in Rails, so this is /invoices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know then. I don't always know for sure, but I have a pretty reasonable guess that if I see /invoices, that there will be a file under app controllers invoices. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If that wasn't there, there's a file called routes where I could look at it to see where it really points to. So like if you go to Invoices slash 2015/01, right? That maps to the invoices controller and the by month action or method. So if you look at this invoices controller, you can see there's a by year and a by month, right? But since I'm just going slash invoices, index is the default. And oops, right here. And so if this is called index, and I want to, so this is what like responds to that URL, but now what generates the HTML, and if I play by the book, then there will be under views a folder called invoices that matches the name of the controller.
So, are you the one that's so organized, or Ruby's so organized?
This is Rails. These are Rails' conventions, and if you don't follow them, you'll be in pain. Like, they make it very hard for you to not follow those conventions.
Okay.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So, an aside, right? Like, I've been on projects that are really, really big, okay? And past a certain point, everything in controllers gets too cluttered because I'm dealing with like, I want to deal at the feature level, right? Like I want to talk about just registration, and to understand registration in a big system, I've got to jump from controllers to models to views to services to, like all these moving pieces. And you look at that and you go, I want to put this all together, right? So that these things change together, and I don't want to split them apart. And that makes good sense to do in a lot of apps. Rails will make it hard for you to do that, which kind of stinks. But you're making a conscious trade-off to say, yeah, I know I can hit that point, but at the same time, I'll know where things are. And when I inherit someone else's app, I'll have a good guess of where to look for stuff.
Right.
So,
Sure.
balance the trade-offs, and especially for it's easy to do the right thing with this. You don't have to work any harder to do it, right? So you end up with something that looks fairly clean without a lot of effort. So
Yeah.
So index matches, invoice matches. I look at this, and let's get that out of the way. And we're looking for let's look for tip. All right, so here is text field for paid and tip. So we're looking at these two things. Well, this is kind of a pooper about tables. I kind of would like this to be right below it, I think, but I don't know that that's... I think I'll have to fight things to do that. Like, I'd really have to generate just a whole other table row, blank classes. So, let's just start with another table cell, just to make it easy. So, payment method, and let's see, so this is going to be, but I don't want a text field, I want a drop down, I think. And I have a way to on new order. So here's that other enum. Here's a drop down.
Okay.
And I know I have a function that just generates that given an enum.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to look at orders new. So let's go to orders new, and now, right, like you see that there's a new and an edit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I come in here, it's not in here because I would have to duplicate that form. It's actually in this form file, which if it's one that's not used as its own destination, right, it gets an underscore, that's called a partial.
Okay.
So I can use it in other ones. And delivery method. Fulfillment, I'm sorry, I called it the wrong thing. Alright, so I just called it enum select. And then I give it the See, I write, like, I built this and I still don't always remember how to use it without going and looking. Now, because like on this page, I kind of strayed off the Rails path a little, not on this page, on this invoices page. I kind of strayed off the Rails path a little bit, and that's why you see like text field tag with this kind of ugly stuff in here. And up here, it's a lot cleaner. It's enum select and just fulfillment method, and you don't have to know quite what it's named. So I'm probably going to have to do a little work. So this enum select, this will probably work. I have a keyboard shortcut that uses a ctags file. It takes me to where I've created this method. And what this is it's defined on the form builder. And form builder is a thing that generates a form assuming that you have a model already, right? And here things that end in tag don't make assumptions about you having a model, although it can. So that means I've kind of got to pull this enum select thing up. Let's see that better. So I want to pull this out and make it so that I can call it without giving it a model. Form builder. I'm in invoices. So I'm in invoices, right? I want something to help me with my HTML. So I'm going to go to app, helpers, invoices, and I pasted that method there. Since it's not a builder anymore, I'm going to call it tag, make this name, and that'll probably be tag. I gotta look up the doc on select tag. It's a program called Dash. Yeah, so it takes the name, the options, name, options, other options. It really only takes 3 things, and I'm giving it 4. Get rid of that one. Okay. That looks pretty close. So let's do enum select tag, put it by name.
So Dash is like for all sorts of different languages.
Yeah,
That
Dash
seems
is
kinda
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
I use that a lot. Order dot. So up there it's fulfillment method. So here it will be. So because I called this an enum, Rails will automatically like generate a thing called, I can say order.payment methods and it gives me the list. And I can say order.new.